how are you? It's Traviseen here, and welcome back to our adventures with the Gnome Warlock.
Salutations.
Today we are back in Duskwood, guys. We're going to do a little bit of questing today in Duskwood. I think we'll head up here and we'll pick up the Tear of Taloa for the Noble Brew quest. Hope you guys are doing well today. Doing pretty good. Looking forward to getting this Warlock into the 30s, and then we can start doing some Scarlet Monastery dungeons. I think these are my favorite dungeons to do in vanilla, other than Blackrock Depths. So I always look forward to the 30s. It's always a good time. Before that, we'll probably do Gnomergon and Razorfen Crawl. We're actually getting almost a little too high for Gnomergon. We should probably get in there soon. It's like the quests, though, are yellow, so it should be fun. Let's see if we can deal with this ghoul. Oh, we're pulling off of them. Get our own demon armor up here. There's Stalvan Mistmantle. This is where he hangs out. Here is the Tear of Taloa. Stalvan, leave me alone, man. Should we kill him? Yeah. Let's just take his soul away from him. I wonder if we can kill him. Okay, Cole, run away. Oh, crap. We're gonna pull a bunch of crap. The Curse of Stalvan, immolate. Didn't work. Oh. Stalvan's gonna kill us, and Pegcole. Run away, Pegcole. I think he's kind of slow. Actually, can we bring him to the guards? Can we bring him here to the town and he'll just get killed? No, he runs away. Got the Curse of Stalvan, though. All attributes reduced by 5. I wish we never met that guy. It's like one of the worst debuffs you can get. Well, we got the Tear of Taloa, so that's good. I guess we'll just hold this debuff for now. Maybe we'll get our revenge on Stalvan later. That's where he hangs out, just in this little shack up here. Just north of Darkshire. No one knew. And Arc Raiders supposedly has sold over 14 million units now. No wonder it won, you know, best multiplayer game of the year. Seems to continue to get more players interested in the game. I've heard some bad things about it though recently. It's like, obviously it's a pretty fun game. It's, you know, there's a lot of promise for it. There's supposedly going to be like a non-PvP mode or game mode that they're going to introduce because it's supposedly getting pretty popular. Like a PvE version of the game. Which I think would be good because they're clearly having issues with cheaters. Which I was going to talk about. Sort of like how we have issues with botters in WoW. I mean, you're playing a PvP extraction shooter and someone's a cheater, right? And they kill you and they take your stuff. It's like the worst thing that can happen for games like that. Nothing worse than, you know, being punished in game because somebody cheated or like didn't beat you like fairly, right? They use some like exploit or something like that. So I think that's why they're moving into this PvE style, more chill version of the game that they're going to introduce. Which I think is a great idea. I've seen some videos. It's kind of hard not to see Arc Raiders videos nowadays. These are videos just of people who don't PvP when they play, and then supposedly they get queued with other players who don't, you know, like kill each other. They just all work together and help each other get loot, which is cool. That's a cool way of playing. It's like a non-stressful way of playing. And then the people who are like PvPers, they get queued up with people who usually, you know, shoot first, ask questions later. So I think this PvE mode will actually be kind of popular. We'll see. See what happens. Alright, so let's get the Voidwalker out here, guys. Keep dealing with these Dark Runners. We'll get into Gnomergon soon, or Razorfen Crawl, one or the other. Like, probably do Gnomergon so look closer. Maybe we'll make our way there today. Do a few quests here and then head over to Gnomergon. I think we have all the quests. We have quite a few. Maybe not all, but most, I think. I think we're almost done with this this first survey here of the results. Currently at question 19. How would you feel about layers in Classic Plus? So they got layers are fine at 59%, no layers in Classic Plus 27.1%, or no opinion at 13.9%. Kind of not surprised. I think we picked layers are fine because I'm not too sure if I would prefer. It'd be cool if they had a no layer server that had a 2-hour queue time to get into, just so you could experience a no layer server. But it's just not realistic that they would probably come out with one. So I think layers being fine is fine. So I'm not really surprised with the answer for that question. Here's one that's a little bit more interesting. Should the size of raids be reduced from 40? Barely any organ here. 39.1% voted reduce required raid size to 20 and allow me to bring more than 20 if I want, like in SOD. That's sort of a trend. A lot of people just want it to be like SOD. And that's kind of why I'm kind of just calling it like SOD 2.0. That's what's probably going to end up being. But maybe they'll tone it down a bit this time. Second at 31.1%, reduce required raid size, but implement flex rating so we can bring more players and the challenge stays the same. Third at 12.6% is no, keep raids at 40. I think we'll head down here, guys. We're not really finding any Worgen. And then at 10.9%, fourth place, reduce raid size with no flexibility. And then 6.3% is no opinion. I think I picked reduce raid size with no flexibility. I agree flexibility is good, but it kind of, you can kind of make, it just ruins the raid, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I think that's not a good way of explaining it, but people can kind of, take advantage of certain bosses. Like, if say there's a boss where you need to make it easier to have an extra healer, you can just flex in a healer. And then the boss becomes, you know, not that tough at all, or there isn't really a heal check anymore. Vice versa with like a boss with like a DPS check, you just add a couple flex DPS in, and then the boss isn't as hard. Like, yeah, obviously the boss scales a bit, but there is ways to work around it to make it easier by abusing the flex system. That's why I'm not too much of a fan. I'm not that big of a fan of it. But the first one's probably the best if they're going to do flex. Make the required raid size 20, but allow people to have more than 20. I think that's fine. At least Sarfog's okay here. I'm going to tell him to run away. Maybe we can pull the other... I'll tell him to run. Just run away, Sarfog. Still getting chased by these guys? Who's that one we just feared? I think Sarfog could stay alive long enough. There we go, we pulled off of him. And Diablo, yeah, 2 and 4 are coming out with Warlocks. I think I mentioned that yesterday. Pretty cool announcement. Diablo 2 is getting an expansion, too. Reign of the Warlock. They're a lot like WoW Warlocks. You can summon demons. There's like 3 different types of demons you can summon, just like WoW. Different names, though. I forget what the names are, but you can summon a goat man. One I remember. I think another one's called a Tainted. And you can, the cool thing is you can take control of other demons. Like say you're fighting demons, you can take control of one and then it can give you buffs and different abilities, stuff like that. You can consume demons and they power you up. It looks pretty cool. They did a great job with the Diablo the remaster for Diablo 2. So it's really good. The game looks great too. Let's fear this guy. Wonder if we'll pull a bunch of stuff. Surprised pulling off of this guy here. So I kind of hope they do a WoW Classic not a remake, but I guess you could call it like a... I guess it would be a remake. A remake is just, it's the same game, but just updated graphics. And then remastered are like, it's the same... It's sort of the same game with updated graphics, but they make some, like a couple changes to it. To supposedly make it, I don't know, to update it to today's game, day and age. But I think a remake would be good, just a graphics update. I just would think it'd be cool to see. But I know I've been talking about it a lot, so I won't rant about it too much. Should Dungeon Finder be implemented? Let's see what people said about this. Yes, but only to group you is number one at 67.1%. It's still up to you to get to travel to the dungeon. I think I picked that. I agree with that. Should Dungeon Finder be implemented? No. And then no was 18%, 12.6% at third place. Yes, do it like it's done in Modern WoW by auto grouping and teleporting you inside the dungeon. Yeah, that would ruin the game. I don't mind that in Wrath of the Lich King, just because that was in the original Wrath of the Lich King, but in vanilla, no, not a big fan of it at all. They tried not having Dungeon Finder where you get teleported to the dungeon Wrath of the Lich King, and then eventually they just implemented it. It is nice being able to queue for a dungeon and just teleporting in. And the thing is like, you know, you didn't really go to like Azeroth. Well, not Azeroth, but you never really would go to like Eastern Kingdoms or Kalimdor in Wrath of the Lich King, right? It was pretty much just Northern. You would never go to like Outland unless it was for like a profession quest or something like that. I remember going to Outland and Wrath of the Lich King to get something for repair bots for engineering. It's like the only time I go to Outland. Just shadow bolt him down. Like 2 more guys. I think for Wrath of the Lich King, it's fine. I didn't really mind traveling to the dungeon either in Wrath. But the problem is in Wrath, like, there's flying, right? So it just becomes, like, what's the point? You know, you're going to get there fast anyways. And it's kind of the same thing in TBC. Like, once you get flying, you don't really engage with the world too much. You're just in the sky flying to your location. We'll pull a bunch of stuff here. No. Nice. It like does like a lot of threat. There we go, we're done with that Worgen quest. Turn it in later. I think we'll head over to Ravenhill and we'll return to Jitters. Should summoning stones outside of dungeons / raids be implemented? 73%. 73.6% said yes. I voted no, 19.6%. And did no opinion at 6.8%. Some people were actually... I think there was a video about the survey responses. Some people were kind of shocked that people actually said yes to the summoning stones. That's because of what I was saying earlier. Like, 2 people walk to the stone, and then the other, like, 3 just sit in Stormwind. Just wait. Kind of takes away from the traveling together as a group to the dungeon, you know, aspect of vanilla. That was really cool. So that's why I'm not a fan of that, to be honest. And then you get that weird, like, there's, like, say all of you are in Stormwind and you're just waiting. You're like, so who's gonna go to Summoning Stone? And you just wait. Like, the people, they just wait and see who's gonna do it. And then eventually, I think the person who makes the group goes. But who's gonna be that second person who decides to leave the city? Yeah, I'm not a fan of Summoning Stones. TBC is actually, like, really when it all started to, I wouldn't say go downhill, but move away from the world of Azeroth. Like, it literally takes us out of the world to Outland, right? And then, you know, epic flying gets implemented into the game. Not in Azeroth, but in Outland. And then, you know, summoning stones as well at dungeons. It added a lot of, I guess, convenience. I think what people really like about TBC is that all the classes, that's one thing that vanilla doesn't have that TBC has, is that all the classes are kind of decent. You know, there isn't really a bad spec or a bad class to play. So I think that's where TBC got it right, and vanilla got it wrong. Also with PvP, I think PvP is better than TBC, because that's when Arena came out. That was clearly a success for WoW as a whole. I think that would be better in... Maybe that would be better in vanilla than the rank 14 grind. A lot of people don't like that. Should there be heroic dungeons? Maybe. Depends on how they implement them. This is number 1 at 46.5%. Yes at 41%. No at 10.8%. And no opinion at 1.7%. So I think I said yes. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty much a yes. Maybe's like almost a yes. So if they implement them well, then I guess we might see heroic dungeons. I think heroic dungeons are good. It adds more to the end game. They're clearly pretty popular in TBC, especially if they're challenging. Right, here's Jitters over here.
You need something?
Traviseen, you're here. Do you have my food?
Aha. Thank you, adventurer. Those really hit the spot. And here, please let me pay you for these.
Alright, so we have a bunch of books. Book from Sven's Farm. I read this during the Paladin playthrough. Should I check it out again? I guess we could go over to Sven's camp, and while we're heading over to Sven's camp, we'll read it quick. The terror of these past few weeks is almost more than I can bear. Yet I feel that by writing down that which I've seen, I'll somehow be comforted. So I do it. And it is the only comfort I have these bleak days. And this is written by Jitters, guy we just gave food to. It began with the finding of that cursed scythe in Roland's Doom. Before the scythe, the terrors of this place seemed as tame as Northshire Valley. But ever since I found that the haft of the scythe jutting from that pile of rubble in the mine and cursed me, pulled it free, Roland's Doom became a place of vile death. It began with the finding of that cursed scythe, Roland's Doom. Before the scythe, terrors seemed as tame. For the scythe, the terrors of this place seemed as tame as Northshire Valley. But ever since I found the half of the scythe jutting from the pile of rubble and pulled it free, Roland's Doom became a place of vile death. Yeah, I've read that already. Okay, this is tripping me out. After the scythe was freed, they came at us from everywhere, clawing from hidden holes at our feet and dropping upon us from silent perches above. Half our men fell in those first panicked minutes. The rest, including myself, tried to flee. As I ran, I saw so many of my brothers taken by tooth and claw, heard so many screams cut short or gurgle to silence. I can only guess why I survived that night. I have always been cautious, always quick to flinch from jabs and leap free from pitfalls. My nickname comes from this trait, so perhaps it was just that knack for caution that saved me. Or maybe it was the scythe I pulled from the rubble. It cannot be the scythe itself, for I lost it during my frantic flight. But if it was I who brought the Worgen to Duskwood, then perhaps the Worgen afforded me a rare courtesy, cursed them. After surviving the flight from Roland's Doom, I hid within a barn owned by a man named Sven. I spent a few days in the barn, and such horror lingered with me that I never once made it myself known to Sven or his family. But from what I saw from my hiding place, I knew these farmers were quite decent folk. Had I stepped from my concealment, I think they would have taken me in, but trust is hard for me. Harder still after that shock in the mine, so I remained hidden. The rest of the book is blank. So I think we turn this in to Sven. You found what? Please let me see it.
That shadowy figure I saw was a witness to my family's death. There are questions I'd like to ask that man, if only I knew who he was. I must know who was that skulker in the shadows I saw the night my family was killed. Please, adventurer, you have shown your resourcefulness. Please find that shadowy figure. I must learn what secrets he holds. I do not have clues that you do not already know, but here, take the book you found at my farm. Perhaps some of the townsfolk can link this book with its owner.
Alright, so it looks like we have another quest to deliver back to Darkshire. Yeah, it's a pretty horrific story about Sven, guys. We'll continue that story later. Whenever I play an Alliance character, I tend to read the story. It's probably one of the coolest quests in the game. This guy's killing Morladim, dude. Should we kill him? Yeah, help us out. We'll fight him later, but we might as well get this quest completed. There we go. Thank you, boss. Okay, we got Morladim's skull. I guess we'll check out his book while we're making our way over to Jitters. Jitters is, Abercrombie's shack. Story of Morladim. Morgan Lattimore was a great and noble knight who fought in defense of the innocent, the poor, and the afflicted. For many years, he worked diligently throughout the outlying areas of Azeroth, bringing relief to the suffering and swift justice to evildoers. He was married to a young girl named Bliss. In the summer of his 18th year, they were much in love with each other and would eventually produce 3 children, a son and 2 daughters. Morgan was 32 when war broke out in Lordaeron. Morgan was called to the side of the legendary paladin Uther the Lightbringer to fight against the orcs and the undead. Leaving his wife and children in the safety of his home, Morgan left for war. The years passed and the war dragged on, and Morgan would witness many horrific events, including the disbanding of the Paladins of the Silver Hand, the death of Uther, and the spread of the plague. The only thing that kept him from the brink of madness was the knowledge that he would someday be reunited with his wife and children. Morgan would eventually return to his homeland, but find it nothing like how he remembered it. The once verdant forest was corrupted and teemed with the undead and other dark forces. Destroyed houses and farms could be found everywhere, and the cemetery near Raven's Hill now dominated much of the area. A shocked and bewildered Morgan eventually made his way home, only to find it in ruins, not knowing what had befallen his homeland. He headed towards the village to find answers, and he hoped his wife and children. Morgan inquired about his family, but could not find any answers. A priest in Darkshire, as it was now called, said he might search the cemetery at Ravenhill for a gravestone. Morgan refused to believe that his family was dead and continued to search every farm and house in Duskwood, but to no avail. Morgan rode from Darkshire to nearby Lakeshire, thinking that perhaps his family had fled on his way. There, he decided, against his better judgment, to stop by the Ravenhill Cemetery. Morgan spent hours walking amongst the gravestones. He recognized many names of people that he knew and became more and more distraught. Then he saw them, a small, untended plot amongst the many with 3 small gravestones. A feeling of dread washed over him as he approached. Morgan brushed off the dust of the most prominent gravestone to reveal the name on it. Simply carved upon the grave letters spelled out his worst fear, Alyssa Lattimore, beloved wife and mother. Morgan's apprehension turned to dismay, and then to grief, and he fell to his knees weeping. For hours he stared at that one grave, begging the cold stone for forgiveness and sobbing apologies. Then hours later something in him snapped, and he began to lash out. He brought his sword out of its scabbard and began to rain blows on the gravestone. Screaming in rage, blind in his fury, he lashed out and swung wildly, catching the notice of a trio of the cemetery attendants. As they tried to restrain him, he turned his focus to them, hurling accusations of guilt upon the innocent attendants, then killed them all. Later, when the rage had passed, realization crept into Morgan's mind, and he saw his bloody sword driven into the chest of one of the attendants. Driven to the brink by his emotions, he removed his belt knife and plunged it into his heart. Morgan Lattimore's body and the 3 bodies of his victims were found. The next day he was quickly buried without ceremony in a hastily dug grave on the outskirts of the cemetery, because Morgan committed murder against innocence, something that went completely against his beliefs and his nature, and because of the grief that he held in being unable to save his family. Morgan could not die a peaceful death, and lived on as one of the restless dead. Only days later, his grave was disturbed, and his body could not be found. The being that was Morgan now wanders Duskwood, consumed by his grief over the loss of his wife and children and his own self-hatred. Morladim, as he now calls himself, roams Duskwood with mindless vengeance and hatred, and has been known to commit murder indiscriminately.
What can I do for you?
I need that zombie juice to keep me warm on these cold, dark nights. Do you get it for me?
1,000 thanks, adventurer. You
Yeah, that's the
warm
story
an
of
old man's heart
Morladim.
with your kindness. Here you are, friend. Take this as a token of my gratitude. I live so far from the protection of town, it's a wonder the ghouls and the walking dead haven't eaten me. In fact, just yesterday, a pack of bone chewers was pounding on the walls of my house. I want to make an effigy, a kind of scarecrow for ghouls. To do that, I need some ghoul ribs. You can get them from flesh eaters, bone chewers, brain eaters, rotted ones, and plague spreaders. Get the ribs for me, and I will repay you with some coin.
So we got the Ghoul Fang and Ghoul Rib quest all in one right now, so we'll complete that. Should focus on the plague spreaders though, so we'll probably head down to this crypt. There's quite a few that are down here. And we actually have something for Starfog to learn. And that is Consume Shadows rank 2. So the Voidwalker consumes nearby shadows to bolster its form, recovering 561 health over 10 seconds. So if he gets low, we can use that. I guess we'll get back to this survey, guys. So we went through, should there be heroic dungeons? It seems like it's pretty much a yes. As long as they implement them, you know, in a good way. One thing I've noticed, it's kind of tough for Blizzard to, you can't please everybody. That's one thing that this survey shows. Everybody has different wants for the game and different interests. So no matter what they choose, it looks like, you know, at least 30% of people will probably not enjoy it. So they can really never win no matter what they do. Should there be rated PvE in Classic Plus, Mythic Plus, Mage Tower, Prestige level 60 rating leaderboards, for example? I think I voted yes for this, and yes got 41.2%. 32.5% said no. And 60.1% said I won't do it, but I'm fine with the game having it. And then 10.2% have no opinion. So it's looking like over 50% wouldn't mind having rated PvE in Classic. So like Mythic Plus, Mage Tower, Prestige levels. I'm too sure if Prestige levels have ever been in WoW. It's kind of like a Diablo 3 thing. Level 60 rating leaderboards would be kind of cool in the game. So you could go to like a hall and like check it out. Check out the leaderboards for your server. Be kind of cool. So yeah, I agree with that. They should extend the end game. It's one thing that's kind of lacking with the Classic is just there's not much to do in the end game. Eventually you just end up raid logging and that's it. It'd be nice if they had, you know, Mythic Plus and Mage Tower and all that stuff. Like, it's just more stuff to do with your character. And these, like, dungeons don't generally have to, you know, give good gear or anything. They could just give, like, some cosmetics or achievements. Gold. Loot. Like, it doesn't always just have to be gear, right? So one thing that Mythic Plus can do, which is not good, is it can, people could just say, you know what, I'm just going to Mythic Plus and not raid. A lot of people do that in retail. I'm not too sure if that's it's not a bad thing, right? Because, like, you want people to do what they want to do. But if there's no incentive to go into a raid because you're getting all your gear in a 5-man Mythic Plus dungeon, I think that's potentially a problem. Is it all Brain Eaters in there? Kind of looking for Plague Spreaders. Few Plague Spreaders in here. Plagued my mind. Let's drain life a little bit here. We'll just dot them up and then drain life. Pretty strong just dotting up and then draining life. There's another Warlock there. You can pretty much tank. Because we have this talent, which is kind of cool. It's like a... I think that's how the Warlock tank worked, too. A lot of drain life in Season of Discovery. We don't really get interrupted, which is nice because we took fell concentration. So yeah, we might as well take advantage of that. So we spec'd into it. This is our talent so far, guys. I think people want me to show the talents. I've got a comment to show talents at the beginning of an episode. Guess I could. I do show them usually every time we level up, which is pretty often at the beginning, but it does slow down later on, so we don't level up as often. Bite to eat here. Should there be rated PvP in Classic Plus? For example, rated battlegrounds, arenas, dueling, leaderboards. I said yes to this. And yes got 60.3%, so that's like even more of a yes than the other question we just did with, I was asking for Mythic Plus and Mage Tower and all that stuff. I think that's where Classic's really lacking is PvP. Really all it had was the battlegrounds, which are a lot of fun. But I think ranking up is kind of tedious in vanilla. So I think people would want to see, you know, rated battlegrounds and arenas and some fun little dueling boards as well. Second place was at 23.8% is I won't do it, but I'm fine with the game having it. Yeah. I think no one really mind. It would be cool if you didn't if you didn't queue up for these things in town though. Like supposedly an original vanilla, like this isn't even in this version of vanilla that they come out with. You actually had to travel to Alturic Valley, or the Alturic Mountains to do Alturic Valley, to run into queue for it. So it got you to travel a bit. I think it would be cool if they did that, brought that back instead of just, you know, sit in Stormwind and queue up, which is fine. I don't really mind if they keep it that way, but it is nice if you're able to, we'll train mana here. Doesn't have any mana, so we can't train his mana. I just think it'd be cool. Getting people out into the world is kind of important, I think. Maybe it's not as important as I think it is, but do you want the world should matter. He's immune to fear. We'll do a little Curse of Weakness this time. We'll help out Sarfog. Actually, kill this one. We don't pull off of them. Start hitting that Plague Spreader. It's got a pretty good thread lead here. Get him to use Consume Shadows. And then I'll eat up here. I'll drink as well. Yeah. Should AoE looting be implemented? I said yes to this as well. 62% said yes. I think it's a good quality of life feature. I said yes as well. Some people think it's just, I don't know, it can be abused, which I guess it can. Especially by classes that AoE farm stuff. It gives them it makes it even easier for them. But having to like say you kill a bunch of stuff and you have to click, I don't know. I don't think that's necessary. So I said yes. For AoE looting, 23.2% said no, and then 14.8 had no opinion on the matter. Doing this again. Wow, this is going to be brutal. Let's, I don't even think he can survive this. Isn't he supposed to AoE taunt? I did there. Get him. This one's actually almost dead. Just gonna blast him down. Starfog is gonna die. This isn't good. We're probably gonna die. Should have pulled them. Next thing is we can just soulstone here. And we'll summon Starfog. Should have pulled them away from that door. It was too many. I can't fear them. They're actually immune to fear. All right, next question here is, what features of world buffs would you want to see in Classic Plus? Check all that apply. So this is a pretty big question here. We almost have all of our ghoul fangs. We'll buff up after this as well. So this is the #1 thing that they wanted to see in Classic Plus. World buffs don't belong in raids. Yeah, I kind of agree. But there is a positive to world buffs, which is it got people out in the world to get the buffs. I always thought it was kind of cool. But I do agree that they kind of make the raids kind of trivial. But the funny thing is like the game was kind of built around world buffs being necessary eventually. Like, there's bosses in Nax that are almost like, I wouldn't say impossible, but they're pretty damn hard to kill without world buffs. And that would be, yeah, Saffron. Lothub's kind of tough. Patchwork is another example. But yeah, Saffron for sure. Very hard to kill without world buffs. Second was no world buffs ever. Like, a lot of people hate world buffs. Which is understandable. It is something you have to do in vanilla if you want to raid. Most raids require you to get them. It does take time out of your day to get them for raid. Alternative sources of world buffs, etc. Purchasable consumes like in SOD. I guess so. It's not that bad of an idea. Chrono Boon. Yeah, they would want that in there if there is world buffs. It does help quite a bit. Just stores your world buffs, so if you get killed or die, you don't lose them. Save them for raid. More varied world buffs. I think I put that kind of high up on the list. Be cool if they could find a way to remove world buffs from the game, but promote people to go out into the world. Right, you don't want the game being, I sit in Stormwind and then I wait for people to summon me at the summoning stone. You know what I mean? Like, that's just retail, man. Like, if you can just get all your consumes in town from the auction house, you don't have to leave the world, like leave the city at all. It's not a good thing. Non-dispellable. Weaker world buffs was pretty low on the list. No opinion. And then actually the lowest was actually no changes to the vanilla world buff system. People actually don't like it. I guess I'm kind of strange because I actually liked it. I think that was one thing about vanilla that made it different from retail. Like raiding was the world buff system. I thought it was really cool. Especially in 2019 when like they could get dispelled and you could lose all your world buffs. I didn't really enjoy losing them, obviously, but it was like a game in itself. Like just trying to get your world buffs and avoiding, you know, the night elf priests that were trying to dispel you. World buffs were kind of like a privilege. You know, like they weren't a guarantee. Like every raid, there would always be somebody that couldn't get them, or they got dispelled, or when we were running into the raid, they got killed. It was kind of like a privilege to have like world buffs. A lot of people would get them. There's ways to do it. We went way out of our way to try to make sure people would be able to just stay in town and we can just summon them to the raid. Let's give that guy that. Kill this one. The dots are ticking. An example of us, like a lot of us would just summon behind the raid. So the instance, say the entrance to the instance was here, right? And you jump through and you go into like AQ40 or Blackwing Lair. What we would do is you could fear people behind the raid, and they could go to like a secret spot like over here and then just summon. Thing is, there would be other faction. The other faction would do it as well. Then you might get in a fight. Most of the time, they would just be like, okay, we're just trying to get our raid in here. We won't bug you, you don't bug us. But it was cool. Like you never had to do that in retail. It's just, or any other version of WoW. It's just summon a raid, get in, bring your raid consumes, you're good to go. Which is fine. It's a nice way to raid. You don't have to worry about your world buffs or anything like that, but world buffs are pretty cool. Well, it's obviously not perfect, and there's a lot of griefing that can go on with it, but it was cool. I enjoyed it. It was different. But clearly, people don't like it. So the end game looks like if they remove world buffs completely, it'll be a lot like retail, except there won't be any flying. Yeah, there won't be flying. You'll still get summoned to the raid. It's a lot like retail, which is funny because that's what the game. The game was always meant to go in that direction. It looks like, right? Like the way people are voting. Like Blizzard was just, I guess, giving people what they wanted. And we had a world buff. You don't know what world buffs are. There. These there's like we had one of them today. Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer. Drops from a Nixie or Nefarian. You have to get Onyxia's head or Nefarian's head from either Onyxia's lair or Blackwing lair, Nefarian. And then you drop it in Stormwind City, and then everybody in the city gets it. You need one more Plague Spreader here. And there's multiple world buffs you can get. And you have to travel pretty much all around the world. There's one down in Stranglethorn Vale. Zandalar buff, I believe they call it. You have to hang out in Europe Booty Bay or this island over here. There's one in Fellwood you have to get. So you have to travel all the way to Fellwood and pick one of these Songflowers. And then there's a few to get in the Dire Maul dungeon, which is down here in Fairless. So you have to travel to Dire Maul as well. And sometimes the Dark Moon fares up, so you're trying to get the 10% damage buff from Dark Moon Fair at Goldshire, or it could be on the Horde side and just outside of Thunderbluff and Mulgore. There's a lot of traveling that goes on with that. And I don't know how they're going to like get people to actually want to leave Stormwind. If there's... Right, they have to find a way to do it. Maybe they bring World Quest in. I think they're going to talk about that eventually. Or ask that question. I'm not too sure if we went over it yet. But yeah, they could add World Quests. Which give like... I guess maybe rep or loot. Stuff like that. Gold. Consumables. Alright, so let's turn in Ghoulish Effigy, guys. Let's make our way out of here. Hopefully, Starfog doesn't pull too much. Yeah, next question is, how would you feel if Classic Plus trimmed the capabilities of add-ons and weak ores? First, people said, I prefer my add-ons and weak auras. Leave them alone. 29.3%. Don't touch them. I like them too. They're not bad. I'm used to them. But it'd be interesting if they got rid of them.
Hey there.
I think I hear a pack of ghouls scurrying around the back of the house. I better put that effigy up quick. Did you get those ghoul ribs for me?
Ah, thanks. These will do just the trick. A few weeks ago, I was picking herbs far from my house, and a band of ogres attacked me. I ran, and I was forced to leave behind a crate of precious tools and herbs. After they chased me off, the ogres swaggered back to the ogre mound in southern Duskwood.
The swagger
My crate
ogres.
is somewhere near the mound. Please, adventurer, retrieve this crate for me, for I miss it sorely.
Alright, so we gotta get him his crate. We will eventually do that.
Safe travels.
Second is, I'd be happy to see add-ons go at 23.9%. That's kind of interesting. It'd be interesting to play the game without add-ons, or like they don't allow add-ons. You just have to play the base UI. People would hate that, but you can kind of use weak ores as a crutch, like I do. Like you don't have to ever look up here. It's not really a crutch. It's in a better location, so you can pay attention. But I guess you could call it a crutch,
You
maybe.
performed well against the Dark Runners, adventurer, but it seems as though their numbers are inexhaustible. Every time we make progress, more spring up to refill their ranks. What is the evil power that draws them here? Why have they come to disturb our unhappy realm? I will put my faith in Master Caravan.
It's 10
No
slot
doubt
pay.
he will get to the bottom of the problem. Your accomplishments have convinced me that you are ready to take on the toughest worgen infesting the woods. Of the worgen that have made their new home here, the Vile Fangs and the Tainted Ones have proven the most dangerous.
It's Morley
They've
Dave's
settled
daughter.
down near some of the caves and in the mine to the south. From far away, you can even see the light from their bonfires.
On behalf of the people of Darkshire, and as the leader of the Night Watch, I thank you, adventurer, for your bravery and dedication. May the light shine upon your ways. You killed him? That's no small accomplishment, adventurer. On behalf of the people of Darkshire and the Night Watch, I thank you. There is one small matter, however. I should have told you this earlier. How do I put this? Morgan may have believed that his family was all dead, but in fact, His daughter Sarah Lattimore is now a watcher. She's always been troubled by the circumstances surrounding her father's death. Perhaps you could go to bring the news to her. Yes, my father. I wish there was something I could have done for him. If only I had talked to him before he... Here, take this and lay it on his grave. Maybe, somehow, he'll know that I'm okay, and that none of us hold him responsible for what happened. And thank you, adventurer. Very wise of you, adventurer. This totem of infliction will help to protect you against the evil which lurks throughout Azeroth and beyond. When you feel threatened, hold this totem and take comfort in its magical aura. Be brave, fair adventurer. You will need all the courage you can muster, for I see much bloodshed in your future. Someone handled this book recently. Someone who is driven by revenge. But the impressions left on it, at least the impressions from the original owner, are faint. I can tell, however, that the original owner of this book is not a native of Darkshire. Here is your book back, adventurer, and I bid you fortune with your search. If you ask others in town, perhaps they can offer you more clues. And here is one more for you. Although the author of this book is a stranger to Darkshire, the book itself was purchased here. Last night, a horrible disturbance rippled through my veins. I sensed that my granddaughter, Alyssa, was in great danger. I consulted the cards, and death stared up at me from the table. After taking a long journey through a dark trance, I was able to uncover a clue to this terrifying mystery. A name came to me, the name of Stalvin. Seek out the clerk in the town hall and see if you can find out more about this character. I fear for us all.
Ah, yes. I sold this book a month ago to a shady person. He didn't tell me his name, but he was a nervous, jittery chap, always looking over his shoulder. I hope that helps you. Here's your book, and good luck with your inquiries. You might want to expand your search to the inn. If the person whom you seek spent time in town, then chances are someone saw him there. Oh yeah, I remember this book. Its owner rented a room for a few days and spent his nights at the bar writing. He left town in a hurry, muttering about being hunted by something. Last I saw him, he was heading west out of town, looking for a new spot to hide. The first place he'd find to the west is Raven Hill. Good luck, adventurer. I hope you find the chap, and I hope you find him alive. If he's left the safety of Darkshire, then he could be prey to the beasts of the wilds.
Well, there we go. That was a lot of quests to be turned in, guys. And we gave some buffs to our Succubus. Lash of Pain rank 2. Does 44 damage now. And we also have Seduction. Seduces the target, preventing all actions for up to 15 seconds. Any damage caused will remove the effect. Only works against humanoids. Awesome ability for PvP. And we also ranked up our Empowered Corruption because we got to level 29. Our Corruption spell gains an additional 24% of your bonus spell damage effects. So there we go. Got to level 29 today. We completed quite a few quests here in Duskwood. We probably have like one more episode of completing quests here. And then we will be done with Duskwood, guys. Next episode, we may be inside of Gnome. That could be the plan. Should be just over here. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Keep your heads up. Later.